Gamey Caps. River City Girls references many elements from the Kunio-kun franchise, as well as from Technos Japan's back catalog. I've been having a blast just playing through it, testing things out, and dissecting it to see how well it connects to the rest of the series and what secrets it hides. If you're not familiar with the long-running Kunio-kun franchise and would like to see a brief history of the games that led up to River City Girls, there is a video on the channel explaining everything you need to know before playing this game. I will put a link to it in this video's description. Today, we'll be taking a look at the various cameos and references hidden throughout the game. Because, wow, there's actually quite a lot of it. But before we start, spoiler alert! This video will spoil just about everything there is to spoil about River City Girls. So, if you haven't played the game yet and wish to keep its twists and secrets, well, secret, then you might want to play through it first. That said, this video should help enjoy the game even further and allow you to be in on all the little references that are contained within. So, let's get started with today's Gaming Capsules episode, Hidden References and Cameos in River City Girls. Let's start by going over the various characters in the game. There's obviously the four playable protagonists, Misako, Kyoko, Kunio, and Riki, who have appeared various times in the series, and you can find more details about these four on the previous video. Just like in the original games, Kyoko actually goes to Hanazono High, or Crosstown High in the English versions, while Misako goes to Neketsu High, aka River City High in this game, which is why Kyoko mentions not being from River City High in this cutscene.
That's it. I'm dead. Death by math. Here lies Misako, killed by numbers.
I don't even go to this school.
Note that both schools are fairly close to each other. At the very beginning of the adventure, you see Mr. Rudis. He's a new character in the English version of the game, taking his last name from Bannon Rudis, one of the two directors behind River City Girls. If you play the game in Japanese, his name is actually changed to Kawakami, named after Noboru Kawakami, the Neketsu baseball team coach in Downtown Neketsu Baseboru Monogatari. He's also originally a math teacher who was appointed the position of team coach, despite not knowing anything about the sport. The chef in the school cafeteria is a new character. The boss you fight inside the school is Mizuzu, a recurring boss and occasional ally in the Kunio series, that even Kunio wants to avoid fighting if possible. As soon as the battle starts, she yells out, "Get over here!" Scorpion's iconic line from the Mortal Kombat games. As soon as you walk out of the school and venture into Crosstown, you meet Godai. He first appeared in River City Ransom, also known as Tex in the English versions. In this one, he seems to have some ties to the Yakuza. Fun fact, he's actually the one who sent Kyoko the mysterious text. That means that the whole adventure was actually just so that he could get you to do all of his quests. For fun, try doing a run where you only do the hamburger quest, which is the only mandatory one to finish the game. It's bad for money and experience, but just to show Godai who's boss. Next up, in Crosstown, there's Hiroshi, Kunio's loyal friend from Neketsu High, who has been in the series since the very first Kunio game. His trademark is to get beat up constantly, sometimes changing things up by getting kidnapped. In River City Girls, he just wants to get the physical copy of the latest issue of a popular manga, Cosmic Megabait, refusing to read the digital version. I can actually relate to his dorkiness this time around. I'm also kinda curious what Cosmic Megabait actually is. I'd like to think it's one of the many posters shown around the game. Pattinson, The mall security guard that you find sleeping in his house is new. He's also quite possibly the biggest toy hoarder ever. The monkey toy in his house kinda looks like the monkey found in Minky Monkey, Technos Japan's very first arcade game, though this might actually not be intentional. That said, one thing I do think is intentional is that going through his house itself is very similar to a segment of Downtown Neketsu Goshin Kyoku, in which you go through a family residence and its backyard. There are even some toys lying around in that one. In the rooftop of a construction area of Crosstown, you meet Yamada. He was the final boss in River City Ransom, who also met you in a rooftop. He has mysterious powers, allowing him to levitate objects and, in some of the Kunio games, mind control people. His powers to levitate objects was actually missing from the original River City Ransom, but as you can see in the cutting room floor website for that game, River City Ransom on the NES contains the same sprite for this ability used in later games, so this was actually always intended to be one of his special powers. His backstory in River City Girls is also based off of his original backstory, in which he, Kunio, and Hasebe were friends in the past, who used to go to the same middle school. He was also very jealous of Kunio in the original game, though his ultimate fourth wall breaking goal was actually to be the protagonist of the next game. In the uptown area, you meet a very cool looking Yoko. She's originally from Ikeike Neketsu Hokebu, where she's the captain of the Yurikaoka Girls High School Hockey Club. She seems to know Kyoko and Misako very well in River City Girls and gives the biggest hint as to what's actually going on in the game. Of the supporting cast, she's the one I wish we could see a lot more of. In the underground pawn shop, you find Skullmageddon. He's the main antagonist in Double Dragon Neon. Looks like he got a major demotion after his defeat by the Double Dragon twins and Marion, now hiding below the city. The boss you fight in Uptown is Hibari, and she's very much new to the series. Her fight makes it look like she came straight out of a bullet hell shooter. When you reach downtown, you get to meet Naritaka.
Not a nice part of town.
Exactly! I came here to train myself and get tough like my hero Ricky.
While there is a Naritaka in Nuriki's team on the dodgeball games, as we mentioned in the other video, he's actually a brand new character created for this game. He was originally intended to be Sugata, a similar character from the Kunio universe, but who respects and follows Kunio instead of Riki. However, the River City Girls team was unable to use Sugata in the final game, and was requested to make him a brand new character, so Naritaka was created as an homage to Sugata. He's the only NPC in the game who always faces away from you whenever you try to get in front of him. Would he be jealous? Actually, his turning away from you is very much like the ending of Downtown Neketsu Besuboru Monogatari, where Sugata does this to Momozono. Also located downtown, over by the River City Junkyard, is Kenji, who never actually gets to reveal his name, but yeah, it's Kenji. He's from the Neo Geo exclusive Kunio no Neketsu Dodgeboru Densetsu, aka the Neo Geo Super Dodgeball. A little bit of fun trivia about Kenji. The original character is based off of Hyuma Hoshi, the protagonist of Kyojin no Hoshi, a Japanese baseball manga from the 60s. Hyuma tried to live up to the legacy of his father, a retired professional league baseball player named Itetsu. In Super Dodgeball, Kenji is trying to live up to his father Itetsu, who was a professional dodgeball player instead of a baseball player, and the rival of the game's final boss. Kenji even wears training casts, meant to make his moves more difficult to pull off, which is something that Hyuma did while training. In River City Girls, the training casts were replaced for a tool belt with suspenders. The boss of downtown is
Evabo.
the legendary strong guy from the Double Dragon series. He sports a similar look to his Double Dragon Neon appearance and has some of the moves from his Double Dragon games. There's an educational video being projected in one of the classrooms at the beginning of the game, teaching you the importance of breaking walls and punching bricks.
Find someone to help pound his knowledge into your tiny brain.
Golly gee, is that?
Bobo! Glad to meet you, Jimmy!
You're so huge.
All thanks to puberty!
In the original Double Dragon, he made his appearance by punching his way through a brick wall. Once you reach Ocean Heights, you get to meet Mihoko, Kaori, Burnov, and the concierge. The hotel concierge is new. Mihoko, on the other hand, is from the intro of Neketsuko ha Kunio-kun Bangai Ranto-en for the Game Boy. Kunio's good friend Hiroshi gets beat up and sent to the hospital in that game while trying to protect Mihoko. And that was kind of it for her original appearance. You actually get to see a lot more of her in River City Girls than before.
But like DAWG, dog, you know? Like how the cool kids say it?
I hate everything about this conversation.
Kaori is another character from the Famicom hockey game, Ikkeike Neketsu Hokebu. She's a member of the school's newspaper and is not a fan of people who give up. Burnov, is the first boss in Double Dragon 2. In almost every game he appeared in, he had this really weird way of being defeated, where he stretches out his arms and disappears.
Well, that's weird.
He looks decidedly more fancy than in just about any other game that he appeared in, though he still wears his mask and Fist of the North Star-ish spike pads, bracelets, and boots proudly. The boss in Ocean Heights is Noise, another brand new character. Just like Hibari's boss fight was a bit like a shmup, Noise's boss fight has some Guitar Hero influences. She also moves a bit like Death from Castlevania, except that instead of a big scythe, she uses her electric guitar. And instead of tiny spinny cutters, she summons crazy fans that slowly move towards you. Sanwakai Tower has an unnamed Yakuza protecting Sabuko, and he's doing a very lousy job at it. He's also new. Sabuko, the final boss, is very much new as well, although she's the daughter of Sabu, a recurring main antagonist in the Kunio-kun series. There's actually some parallels with the Ninja Turtles, where Karai, who is Shredder's daughter in some versions of the TMNT, took charge of the Foot Clan while Shredder was indisposed. Sabuko does the same, although they don't specify quite what happened. In the Super Famicom Kunio-tachi no Banka, it's suggested that Sabu dies at the end of the game, but he's since reappeared in reboots and spin-offs, so Sabu's fate in River City Girls is possibly just being in prison, like Misako says. Sabuko is my personal favorite new character in this game. She's just overall very badass, so I hope that she returns in the Kunio series in the future. In a very crime lord final boss sort of way, they kick her out of the building after defeating her. I am assuming that she survived the fall, considering that Misako and Kyoko both did as well. Finally, we have Hasebe and Mami. Mami was Riki's girlfriend in River City Ransom, although Kyoko took over that role in other games. Hasebe herself is usually a close friend of Kunio who tends to hint at having feelings for him, but she's never really been portrayed as Kunio's love interest, unlike Misako. Her flat-out demonstrating it seems to be cut content from the original River City Ransom. That said, in River City Girls, both Mami and Hasebe are indeed girlfriends of Kunio and Riki. Fun fact, in the final battle against them, they pull a combination move straight out of Double Dragon 3. Now, besides the named characters you meet in the game, there are also a bunch of unnamed characters whenever you visit stores. Here's who they are. The first convenience store you visit, Fastees, is tended by Banan Rudis, one of the game's directors. In Cream Dream, you meet Satomi Momozono, the cheerleader from the sports games. There are 2 dojos in the game, both with Double Dragon protagonists,
Billy,
and
Jimmy,
also from Double Dragon is
Marion.
who can be found working at Swaggage. Her hair is a different color from usual, and her abs are a major standout. While in the Double Dragon universe, Marion is supposed to be a member of Billy and Jimmy's dojo and a good fighter, the truth is that she's usually portrayed as a damsel in distress who keeps getting punched or shot in the stomach. And that's kind of it. Priscilla Hamby, the character designer for River City Girls, decided that Marion's not gonna take that anymore, hence the badass abs. I always wanted Marion to be playable outside of the fighting game and the god-awful Xbox 360 game, and this might be a step towards that happening in the future. Maybe. Next up is Discount Sushi, which has a brand new character. His name is Almas Gold, and I am told that he was originally going to be a boss in the game, until they decided to make him an NPC instead. Well, here's hoping that they get to work on a sequel and that he gets promoted to being a boss character again. In Murph's Burger, you meet Mamoru Todo, a recurring antagonist in the Kunio sports games. He's a cocky Reiho Academy aristocrat who always loses against Kunio and tries to make a comeback by challenging him at sports that Kunio should not be good at. Yet, he always loses. The pose he uses in River City Girls is one of his trademarks. In Amy's Candy, you find Saori Goda, the sister of Tsuyoshi Goda, also known as Ivan, who you fight at the entrance of Reiho Academy in River City Ransom. In Best Friends, you meet Reika Gojoi, the manager of the Reiho team in some of the sports titles, and originally from the Kunio baseball game. He's rich, snobbish, and behaves likewise in this store. In Wardrobe, you get to see Bulova, one of the three protagonists in the Combat Tribes, another Technos arcade and SNES beat'em-up, which is very similar to the original Kunio arcade game. Tea Party features another brand new character, and her name is Edwina. Cartmart is tended by Kawaii James and Kawaii Tom, aka James Montagna and Tom Hewlett from Way Forward. Boy Toys is run by Kodani, one of the enemies in Double Dragon 4. Attire Fire features Shinji, one of the bosses in the original Kunio game and a recurring foe and ally of Kunio's, depending on the game. Book Bistro features Naritaka Nishimura, aka Roko, one of the bosses from River City Ransom. There's another River City Ransom character in Paylots, Takashi Onizuka, aka Otis, who was one of the final bosses in River City Ransom. In Legal Drugs, you find Braver, a character who originated in the Game Boy Dodgeball game. Braver, or Bureba, is the captain of the hero team, where all the players are meant to look like tokusatsu superheroes. Hidden in the tunnel between downtown and Ocean Heights is Merlin's shop. The clerk girl inside is the very same you met in River City Ransom. While she didn't have a name in the original game, the River City Girls team named her Katie after one of Arc System's producers. In Chick's Buffet, you meet Shizuka Aihara, aka Omon, from Downtown Special Jidai Geki, the Famicom sequel to River City Ransom. She ran the gambling joints, which is why you see her holding dices. Plaything Paler has another new character, Demetri. He looks like a vampire, and the store name is very much an obvious reference to Vlad the Impaler, aka Dracula. Lucky Penne features Martha Splatterhead, the final boss in the Combat Tribes. Bob Sono's unfriendly staff member is Kumiko, one of Mizuzu's lackeys from the original Kunio game. By the way, if some of these stores' names sounded familiar, that's because a few of them were stores in River City Ransom as well. There was even a dojo in the X68000 version of that game. It doesn't end there. Some of the common enemies are also cameos from other games. Linda and the Terminator-like dudes are from Double Dragon. Linda is a recurring whip-wielding enemy, unlike Billy, Jimmy, Ababo, Marion, and Skullmageddon, who look like their Double Dragon Neon incarnations. Linda looks like her character art in the original Double Dragon, although sporting way more muscles. The cyborg dudes are Abore from Double Dragon 2. He's the second boss of that game. Well, he originally looked intimidating yet dorky. The Famicom and PC Engine ports made him look more like Arnold Schwarzenegger from Commando, and that's the look he sports in River City Girls. Trash is one of the bosses from the Combat Tribes, where he used the same hammer attacks. Finally, Waver is from Sugoro Quest, a board game themed RPG for the Famicom by Technos. She first appears as the boss on the second board. Her name was most likely originally intended to be Werebear, you know, like a werewolf but a bear, though it's usually written as Waver in English. The game was actually fairly simple, but fun, and it features very similar character art to that of the Kunio games. All of the other generic enemies are new, except that the tiger masked dudes are references to the final bosses of Kakuto Densetsu, Toraichi and Toraji. Quite a bit of cameos in the background as well. The River City High School uses both the River City High School name and the Neketsu High name, both in alphabet letters and kanji. Neketsu High is the name of Kunio's school in the Japanese games. River City High in the original River City game was actually Reiho High, a completely different school in the Japanese version. The Western version changed things up in the story quite a bit, so River City Girls keep a few of those mixtures. You eventually access the rooftop of the school, which looks pretty similar to the PC Engine version of the rooftop final battle. One creepy Easter egg is in the freezer of the cafeteria. Why are there so many frozen cheerleaders here? The chef is seriously creepy. Right outside the school, there's a courtyard straight out of the Super Dodgeball games. For fun, you can try playing dodgeball with a second player. You can also see a soccer field in the background, and there's a basketball court later in the game, which feel like nods to some of the sports titles in the Kunio series. When you break this car right here, downtown, you see a familiar set of faces. That's Benny and Clyde, from River City Ransom. For once, they're not being a nuisance, but man, they still can't catch a break. Also downtown, you can see graffiti art of Kebako from Catgirl Without a Salad. Originally a way-forward April's Fool joke turned into a Humble Bundle exclusive. There's a store sign right here which reads Miyuki. This could be a nod to Miyuki from Super Dodgeball. There's also quite a bit of Street Fighter love in some of the background art. There's Blanca, Ken, and Ryu on display right here in Ocean Heights. There's a couple of Sakuras all over Uptown as well. There's also a Zangief right here in Crosstown, not to mention all the little Kunio-kun sprites up here. Speaking of Kunio, that's obviously him up here on the TV screen at the arcades. The arcade joint is based off of Sega Arcades and Club Sega in Japan. Actually, a lot of Uptown looks like Akihabara with bits of Takeshitadori in Harajuku. Harajuku is kind of known as the center of Japanese youth culture and fashion, which fits with the description of this location given in River City Girls. Marion 2, a plant bus from Double Dragon Neon, can be seen in the background of the San Wakai Tower. The capsules used to make zombies in Sabu's building are also very Double Dragon Neonish. The zombies themselves, and the moments you fight them in, could be nods to Resident Evil. Outside of rare random encounters, the first time you fight zombies in the game is in a trash compactor with the walls closing in, which is a very Jill Sandwich moment. The lab near the end of the San Wakai Tower is not too dissimilar to the labs usually found in the final areas of a Resident Evil game. In the very final room of the game, there's a portrait of Sabu, the main antagonist in many of the previous Kunio games. Finally, there's a lot of unique sprites all over the place. Many of these appear to be staff members. I don't have any confirmation on who they are, so please let me know in the comment section below if you have more information. Even the soundtrack contains a couple of references to past Kunio games. Don't Give a is the main theme from River City Ransom. There's an arrangement of the River City Ransom shop theme as well, when entering some of the shops. Also from River City Ransom is the boss theme, which you can hear a remix of in this game while fighting Ababo. Finally, Fancy Fight, which you can hear in San Wakai Tower, is Sabu's mansion theme in Kunio-tachi no Banka. There's also a nice little touch in that you can usually see a radio in most of the areas where you can hear a vocal song. This is because they're intended to be noises songs in the game's world, and people are just listening to them. Another similar detail is in the arcade place, where the music changes depending on where you're standing in the room, just like in a real arcade place. The soundtrack lists the names of these arcade games. There's Clumsy Climber, Hey, Pretty Puzzle Gyaru, Scrap Fighter, and Shinobi Ninja Boy. Speaking of arcades, there are quite a few other games appearing in the River City Girls world, which resemble a few of our own. Bounty Lass looks and sounds like a cross of Metroid and Space Hunter on the Famicom. Plumberinos is obviously the Mario Brothers. Vampire Puncher looks like a Castlevania and Punch-Out crossover. Hot-Blooded Boys is a Kunio-like game. All these games also look like Famicom cards. The creepy thing is that when you consume them, you actually hear your characters eating these cards. You also get to see what looks like Breath of the Wild, Splatoon 2, Mario, and Shantae Half Genie Hero in what looks like Switch game boxes here in the background. Not quite a game, but there is a book in Book Bistro called Thrill House, which is the name that Milhouse tries to enter while playing Bone Storm in The Simpsons. A few other random details. All of the characters have their movesets from Kunio-tachi no Banka, with a few interesting additions and updates. As Typhoon A and B mentioned in the comment section of the Kunio 101 video, Kyoko's Mac Kick contains a reference to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. While the move itself was present in Kunio-tachi no Banka, she will randomly yell out just like you would hear in JoJo. She also has sports-based moves, specifically from volleyball. Kunio has an eat attack, in which he eats a burger. His face looks just like his eating sprite in River City Ransom. What he eats also changes if you use the attack while performing a combo. Riki's Shadow combo looks a lot like K-Dash's Chain Drive from the King of Fighters games. Another cool reference in the game relates to the Double Dragon live-action movie. In the movie, the protagonists need to find and combine the magical Double Dragon medallion, which was split into two pieces. In River City Girls, to access the secret final boss battle against Mami and Hasebe, you need to collect both pieces of their heart locket. I'll close this up by mentioning that Technos Japan's games used to plaster the company name and logo all over their classic titles. River City Girls does just the same, although with both Way Forward and Arc System Works instead of Technos. And there you have it, a fairly long list of the many cameos and references in River City Girls. This is most likely in no way complete, but it should cover a large portion of all the nods and references found within the game. A special thanks to Adam Tierney from Way Forward for confirming and sharing some of this information, and thanks to everyone in the River City Girls team for this amazing game. So, what did you think of River City Girls? What do you hope to see in the future for the Kunio series? There's actually a survey on the Japanese River City Girls website asking people familiar with Kunio if they want to see more games in the series using this graphical style. Would you? Make sure to let them know. As I mentioned before, there will be videos on this channel taking an in-depth look at the entire Kunio-kun franchise. So if you like these videos and want to see more, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll also have a video discussing the ending and how this game connects to the rest of the franchise. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great rest of your day, and until next time.